everyone. Hi, I'm Olivia. This is Jeff.
Hi, Olivia.
Welcome. So, Jeff Gordon is a financial controller consultant. He's the missing link between account staff and the tax accountants. So, he's a valuable resource for business owners who don't require a full-time finance person. So, and you studied your business 3 years ago. He's a qualified accountant and certified Xero advisor, and he's had 25 years experience in helping small to medium enterprise businesses fight off financial challenges and pain points. So, welcome.
Thank you, Olivia. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I hope I can pass on some great knowledge and tips for the many business owners watching. And these are very valuable tips because we're talking about a very serious issue that a lot of people don't take seriously.
So yes, I actually, this is going to be really interesting. So I'm really hoping to be able to get the message out there because I read the ebook that you sent me. So I would recommend getting on Jeff's website. We'll discuss that later. And it's really important information. Good morning, Vicky. So it's absolutely important to tune in and to get this and to apply it in your business. So tell us, okay, so first when we started talking, you talked about wanting to talk about the topic of fraud, and that could be, there's lots of different types of fraud. They can be like bounced checks or using stolen credit cards or all sorts of frauds, but you were particularly talking about fraud, staff fraud that happens within a business, isn't it? That's what we're focusing on.
Yeah, so I deal with various small businesses, and one of the services I offer is a free financial diagnostic review of their business, because I'm a very analytical and forensically minded person. So while I'm checking out their accounts and how their profit is going, I also have a look at what things they've got in place to prevent fraud. And some of the most simple things are not done by business owners, and the consequences can be dramatic. For example, I heard a story just recently, two directors, two brother-in-laws, they didn't have a system where two people had to approve to transfer money, and one of the brother-in-laws had siphoned $3 million out of the business over the past 5 years, and that closed the business. And if they would have read my ebook of 12 pages and implemented a very simple process, that it would have been avoided, and that's what happens. Human nature is... So
even family, it's...
Yeah, whether it's family...
That would have done so much more than hurt the business. I mean, that's big enough in itself, but that's ripped a family.
It happens more in family because people just assume because it's family, you can trust everyone. But I used to work with a guy called Don, and he said, Jeff, you know what? I can only trust my mum in my back pocket, which is funny and very sad, you know, for this situation. But don't assume in life. You need to put these things in place, irrespective whether it's family or other people, just to protect the business. You're talking about a business, families, assets, staff losing their jobs, and it's very simple, and I don't think you'll offend anybody. And clever businesses document it and train the staff to watch out for fraud, and they're the people who can sleep well at night.
So what kind of fallout have you seen from?
Oh look, I've actually had two projects where I was called in where the financial controller got sacked due to fraud, and those businesses were lucky because the amount of money stolen wasn't enough to affect the business. So I went in there and helped run the finance section while I employed a new person, but in most cases, the business just lose, you know, the owners just lose a fair bit of money. One was $250,000, and the other one we don't know because it was cash sales.
Because it's interesting, I think some people might think of this as a not serious crime, or a victimless crime, and by no means, it's because they're burying their heads in the sand about the repercussions that happens when you take money from a business that stops it from being able to sustain itself, and that has real human costs to it. It's not just numbers.
And what's really interesting with those two cases, the company's decided not to prosecute because there's legal implications. The company doesn't want it to get out in the public. The people who have been sacked might have ammunition to fire back at the company. So a lot of these people just get paid out their annual leave and are terminated. So that's very sad.
No recourse.
No, it's very sad that they don't get prosecuted. And most of them get another job and...
no one knows.
No one knows.
So wow, that's shocking, isn't it?
Yep.
You would think they'd have no recourse after committing fraud. That's pretty outstanding. That's ridiculous. All right, so you have a passion for fraud. Can you give us a background on how you came to become so passionate about it?
I'm a very analytical person. That's why I got into accounting, because I love numbers and analysing and trying to work out how to improve things and find cost savings. And you know, I watch legal cases. I love psychology. So the fraud thing is not my only passion, but I just enjoy it because I just like to see things done properly and processes put in place, and I like things. I don't like people to get away with fraud. I hate it. I really hate it. It's not fair that this woman stole $250,000 and used that money to invest in an investment property. That's disgraceful.
So she made someone else poorer to make us.
And she's got another job as a financial controller, earning six figures, and she's laughing, and nothing's happened to her. I don't want this to happen in any business.
Oh, well, I hope we get that message out. All right, so what factors have you seen that contribute to this happening?
Okay, so generally a lot of businesses, forgetting about fraud, don't have any documentation, systems and procedures, small businesses. And that's very important to start with. And in terms of fraud, they don't have any systems and procedures because they just assume it'll never happen to us. So I think about 8% of businesses it happens to. So about 1 in 12. So I've read a lot of stories about it, and that's how I wrote my ebook. And I've seen it happen in real life. And it's amazing. Like one story was the staff have to keep their eyes open, and they've got to be trained to watch out for things, for unusual habits of people. For example, this lady, she parked a new red Mercedes in the car park next to the MD, right?
But how would you have that conversation? You're a small business.
Yeah, okay.
A few of you, and you say, watch out for... How are you telling people to watch out for fraud with their own team
all right.
members?
Well, let's assume that she's got a rich husband. But anyway, his business started to go down the drain, and he called in an auditor. The auditor did an audit and said, I hate to tell you, but your accountant is stealing money from you, and that Mercedes outside, she's leasing it through your business. And ironically, he didn't believe the auditor. He said, there's no way, no, she's still from me. She's a long-time friend of mine. So that comes down to the old case of don't assume. And he probably wasn't watching his bank statements. He probably was allowing her to make payments without him approving it. And that's what happened.
You should be able to trust someone like that. That's so tragic, isn't it? All right, well, maybe I should let you go on your 10, because you have 10... steps, don't you? So maybe take us through what we can do.
So I hope people read my ebook, because I put a lot of work in and there's some great content. So the first thing you need to do is understand the risks in your business. Every business is different. In a services business, it's different to a products business. So you need to understand what are the potential things that can go wrong. And you need to develop a policy, including all your risk assessments. And once you implement the systems and procedures, for example, that two people must approve payments that go out of the business and a maximum of, let's say, $20,000 a day, that's a great, the first thing you should do. Mm-hmm. Then we come to fraud insurance, which is now becoming more and more affordable and popular. So if you've got fraud insurance, even if you don't have great systems, you're covered. And I believe in all insurances, as long as you can afford it. So educating your staff, that's really important, because your staff are your best investigators. If you teach them to look out for unusual things, anyone who's recently bought a very expensive car, or who's gone on an overseas trip, or who's working back till 10 o'clock at night, these are signs that maybe, something's not right. But some people are switched on, some are not. But that's one good way to prevent fraud happening. Generally, most of the fraud happens within the finance area, so you've got to check out the duties and try and segregate duties, and ensure people take holidays, because if people have got complete control and don't take holidays, and the purchasing officer doesn't get approval on what he purchases, you could be in a bit of trouble there. So make sure you encourage people to take holidays. You might want to get someone to take over from the purchasing officer while he's away and get him to check what the guy's doing.
So I guess, so more than one person needs to know how to do these jobs.
Now, with businesses, I think it's less than $2 million don't need to have their business audited. But I know a lot of businesses, and a great thing, and okay, it costs a bit of money, but get an independent auditor into your business once a year. Don't tell the staff when it's going to happen, because that is a good way to check your accounts, your systems, and that they can pick up fraud a lot easier than I can, because that's their bread and butter. But that's a good thing to get an auditor in. Okay, it costs a little bit of money, but that is a great way to protect your business. The next thing is one really clever thing, because of all online things now. One thing you can do is get the bank statements posted to the managing director or the two directors, because some of them get lazy, they don't look at their online bank balances, because if the bank balances starts dropping, that's an obvious sign something's wrong. So get it posted to their private address, and they can look at the bank statements, and if $10,000 is being withdrawn every week, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to work out that something's not right.
So go back to old school paper.
Yep.
as a prompt to, hey, have a look at this.
Yep.
Otherwise, you just forever put it off.
Although with all the new cloud-based technology, if you look at your dashboard every day, you can see your bank balance. So the diligent business owners do that every day or second day. You can see your bank balance, so that way you can pick it up. And like I said before, make sure all your staff take holidays. Don't let someone not take holidays for quite a while, because that's the way they control and manipulate things. Because if they do take holidays, there's a chance someone will move into that role and pick up something that doesn't look right.
What's going on here? This is weird, kind of.
Yeah. So they're the top main tips that I'd recommend. The other one, if you've got stock, if you've got a product business, never let your purchasing officer do a stock take, never. Because that person can manipulate the figures. Always get one or two of the staff to do the stock take together, and that way you'll have a truthful account of all your stock.
Okay. I guess the biggest thing I'm wondering is how you introduce these changes in a smaller team without saying, hey guys, we're suspecting somebody of fraud. I mean, that's, I guess it's...
Yeah, so as I said, because a lot of businesses don't have things documented and probably systems and procedures in other areas of the business, I think you can introduce it and just say, look, we're documenting all our systems and procedures, we're reviewing all of them, and just without making it obvious, just bring in a few extra things like, you know, payments going out of the business, and I don't think anyone would be offended at things like that.
I think it's just about being professional, though. A lot of the things that you mentioned are just simply good professional practice that should be really expected.
Yeah, look, you need to have everything, things documented, mainly because if a staff person leaves, it's very easy for them to pick up what their job role is and description. And if you want to sell your business, you must have everything documented. So it's very important to have everything documented in your business. And I do know a person who does this as her profession. So she does a hard copy, like a Bible, and an online copy of every single system and procedure in your business. So it's fantastic to have.
Okay, actually in the fraud insurance, to be honest, I need to check that. That wasn't something I'd particularly heard of, so I need to look into that. That sounds like a fantastic idea too. So if people want to know, has anyone got any questions? I can't see any other comments popped up. But they can always comment below later, because this will be saved onto the page anyway if anyone is not watching live and watches it later. So, so if anyone wants to know more about what they can do.
Yeah, so look, I'm happy to talk to people if they've got any concerns, but there's a lot of information on Google and various websites, and there's some great content there, and they simplify it very well.
Well, I like I said before, getting ready for this interview, I said, can you send through the ebook? And I would definitely recommend people going onto your website. What's your website again?
So it's
we wouldn't post it in the comments.
Yeah. It's prestigesme.com.au. Just put in your details and I'll send you. It's only 12 pages. It's the best 15 minutes you could ever do if you're a business owner to prevent your life being stuffed up by one greedy employee.
Because I read it, and you sign up for a lot of, from time to time you sign up for some ebook, and this one is definitely not fluffy or anything. It is actual, real, concrete, great tips. It'll be some of the things that you've mentioned here, but it'll go into
and also,
details, and it'll be there in writing for you to go through and check off. And
also, there's about 5 stories of how people have defrauded companies, and some are a bit humorous, and some are a bit sad, but yeah, some are humorous, the way people get away with things. Like the guy at the Stonington Council that stole $600,000, and he was the events manager, and he was putting the expenses to repairs of the Malvern Town Hall. How is it possible that the CEO of the council and the finance person didn't pick that up? That's a lot of money to fix the Malvern Town Hall.
Fix the Malvern.
It took 7 years to catch him.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I guess you kind of think that a council, some official body like that, is going to have all these policies and procedures in place, but not necessarily. Yeah,
look, a lot of the fraud just never gets found because they're not as forensically minded as me. A lot of people just are not looking for these sort of things. And some things get picked up, but a lot of people get away with it. And the bigger the company and the more money they got, the less chance of noticing. I posted on one of your comments about postage that went up in a business from $200 to $1,200, and that's where you can pick up things. And a friend of mine is an auditor, said to the receptionist, why are you buying all these prepaid Australian Post envelopes? And she said, well, we've had a big demand for it. So she looked on eBay just by chance, and she saw someone selling these envelopes on eBay, and it was the receptionist.
So she's got free stock to sell at 100%. Off,
Yeah, so it's only it's not a lot of money, but it should never have happened, and people just are allowing you to buy these things and not asking why you're buying so many prepaid envelopes. So it all comes down to human nature. People just don't check things and have, you need a tick and check system where things are ticked off and you've got two people approving things. That's the best way. When one person's controlling things, that's where trouble occurs.
So is that something people can come to you to help with too, if they want if they don't want to have to figure it out themselves?
Yeah.
You can actually do that as part of your consulting.
Because I do like I said, my free financial diagnostic review of their business. So I'll go through if they're willing to show me their financials. So, and as part of my review, I look at their systems and procedures and the potential for fraud. So they get a complete review of everything, and that's fantastic. And then I write up an action report, what they need to do, and that's valued at $385. And yeah, I've made and saved companies a lot of money by doing that, because I recently saved the business $65,000 in GST.
Wow.
That they had to deal with a supplier and they weren't putting all their invoices through their accounting package, and geez, they were apt, because they had a payment plan with the ATO and that reduced it dramatically.
Oh my goodness, they went from having a payment plan to having $65,000 that they didn't know they...
Yeah, that's right. So, but you've got to be forensically minded, and that's the way I am. A lot of accountants are a little bit robotic and just crunch the numbers and do the compliance, but you've got to add value, you've got to be looking for things, and when you're looking for ways of improving the profitability and saving money, I compare costs from year to year and to budget, and if I see something that looks wrong, like, certain expenses have gone up dramatically, I don't assume fraud, but I investigate. Why has it gone up? There could be a good reason, but it could be fraud. And that's how you come across things by accident.
So, yeah, you would find out a lot from, when you look at the numbers, you learn a lot more, don't you? And especially if you are forensically minded, like you say, and dig deeper and ask questions and ask for the story behind those numbers. Yeah,
the numbers tell it all. That they will give you an indication if something's not right and there's some funny business going on.
All right. Well, do you have anything else you'd like to add before we...
No, I'd just like to encourage everyone to get the ebook, and if you're a small business owner, really, prevention is better than cure. Treat this topic seriously. It's the same as not protecting your business name and logo. That's another thing that I check with owners. Do you know that someone can knock off your name and logo if it's not protected? Have you checked your business insurances? Are you insured properly? These are all the things business owners by nature probably are not aware of, and if you've got good external consultants, these are the people that give you the advice that can help your business.
Okay, well, definitely check out that ebook. Go and grab it, because I can say that it's really, really helpful. And probably, if you don't trust yourself to put it all in place yourself, then that's something you can help.
Yep, I'm very happy to
make
help.
It all happen. So, yeah, thank you, Vicky. Yes, that's amazing advice. Okay, well, I think we'll leave it at that, and we'll leave your contact details in the comments. And
well, thanks, Olivia, and thanks to Office National. I went to a Dandenong networking event, and it's a great business out in Dandenong. And don't assume Officeworks are the best and the cheapest. Office National are a great company. And I met Olivia at that networking event, which I go to quite a few. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, and thanks for the plug.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Olivia. Okay,
Bye.
cheers.